Shalom, family. Yah's not the author of confusion, but many gathering today are out of order. Today, we are going to go over order in the body. We're going to start with leadership roles. So, leadership is there to guide, teach, correct, serve, so on and so forth. Let's go pull some things from the scriptures. Give me 1 second, family. We're going to go to Matthew 20 and 26. All right, Matthew 20 and 26. And whosoever will be chief among you, let them be your servant. So here we see leadership is not above the people. It is responsible. They are responsible for the people. Let's see what this word chief means. All right. We got the Strong's. Foremost in time, place, order, or importance before beginning best chief. Thayer's, first in time or place. In any succession of things or persons, first in rank. Influence, honor, chief, principal, first, at the first. Let's see what this word servant is. Here it says the footnote for servant is slave. We know that's not necessarily what it means. But again, we see the leadership is not above the people. It's responsible for the people. So most of us, we have children, we're parents. We are, as parents, you're the leader. But also, at times, we find ourselves serving our children, our wives, our husbands, our parents, whoever, so on and so forth. This is what this is meaning. Heavy is the head that wears the crown. I'm not going to say the crown, but heavy is the head of the person in the leadership role because they're responsible for everyone. We're going to move to 2 Timothy, and we're going to chapter 2, and we're going to start in verse 24. And the servant of Yahweh must not strive, but be gentle unto all men, apt to teach, patient, in meekness instructing those that oppose themselves. If Yah peradventure will give them repentance to the acknowledging of the truth. So here we see leaders must be patient, gentle, humble, able to receive correction, able to teach, so on and so forth. It's showing us here. So let's see if they give us here again. It says in the strong a slave, literally or figuratively, involuntary or voluntary, frequently therefore in a qualified sense of subjection. All right, and in the Thayers, it's basically the same as say slave, bondman, man of servile condition. So we went over in many other videos that I've done the roles of leaderships, what it looks like, what it should look like according to Yah, what it shouldn't look like according to Yah. But we really haven't talked about the people's role. And later on in the video, we'll go over some more examples just as a little refresher course. But as the people within the body, order doesn't work if only leadership is in order. The people must also be in order. We're going to go to Hebrews. And we're going to chapter 13, verse 17. And it reads, Obey them that have the rule over you, and submit yourself, for they watch for your souls, as they must give account, that they may do it with joy and not with grief, for that is unprofitable for you. This is not blind obedience, but it is recognizing order. Let's see here in the word obey. A primitive root to convince, by argument true or false, by analogy to pacify. So let's go see Thayer's definition: persuade, to induce one by words to believe. And let's check out rule. Middle voice of a presumed strengthened from G7-1 to lead, that is command. So that's basically what the rulers are to do. Like King David, he led his people. So now we're going to Proverbs. Going to Proverbs 9:9. And it reads, give instruction to a wise man, and he will be yet wiser. Teach a just man, and he will increase his learning. Here we see disorder happens when people resist correction, become defensive, refuse to grow. We need to be teachable. Everybody in the body needs to be teachable, including the leader. Now we're going to move on to Acts 17 and 11. And it reads, these were more noble than those in Thessalonica, in that they received the word with all readiness of mind and searched the scriptures daily, whether those things were so. So we've been over this scripture before, but this point is about staying in the word yourself, not following the teachers blindly. They search the scriptures daily. So order requires for personal responsibility, not just depending on leadership. Everybody has a role in the body. Everybody has a job that they must do. So we all need to be doing what we need to be doing for the body to work. If you're an arm, if you're an elbow, if you're a finger, if you're a toe, if you're the eyes, if you're the mouth, if you're the head, if you're the feet, everybody has a role. And if one thing's off, everything's off. So we're going to go over what disorder looks like on both sides. Disorder is not just bad leadership, it's also the body being out of order. So disorder in leadership, as we've seen in previous videos, is control, intimidation, pride, lack of accountability. Disorder in the people is rebellion, refusal to receive correction, following emotions over scriptures, creating division. Both sides can break order. And let me look up something. Okay, no. We're going to go and we're going to see some in the scriptures, and we're going to read a few stories about disorder in the body. But the word rebellion, that people like to use that as like rebelling against the teacher. But what you're really doing is you're rebelling against Yah. If the teacher's teaching something wrong, or if the teacher is the leader, teacher, pastor, preacher, whatever you want to call them, the head of the body is out of order, it's not you're not being rebellious when you say, hey, I see that you're doing this and this and this and this, and it's wrong. And wise teachers will receive, if you hurt their feelings, if you are not walking in the spirit. When you bring these things to wise, righteous teachers, they will receive it. There'll be a conversation. They're not going to tell you, "Y'all talks to me. I know what I'm doing." They're not going to say anything like that. Excuse me. So, as we know, my favorite saying, "You know them by their fruits." A teacher that's not receiving your thoughts, feelings, that's in order, they're false. So now we're going to, excuse me, we're going to 3rd John 1 and 9. Let's see. I wrote unto the church, but Diotrephes, who loves to have preeminence among them, received us not. Wherefore, if I come, I will remember his deeds, which he doeth, parting against us with malice words, and not content therewith. Neither doth he himself receive the brethren, and forbid them that would, and casteth them out of the church. So we see here, he loved preeminence, rejected authority, controlled others. This is out of order. So now we're going to Matthew 23, and we're going to start at 3. And it reads, "All therefore, whatsoever they bid you observe, that observe and do, but do not ye after their works, for they say and do not. For they bind heavy burdens and grievous to be borne, and lay them on men's shoulders, but they themselves will not move them with one of their fingers." Here we see that we all know about the Pharisees. They taught structure but lacked mercy. They burdened the people. They walked outwardly, but inwardly they were not right. So now we're going to 1 Corinthians. And we're going to 14. Now we're not going to read this whole chapter. But in your free time, you can read this chapter, 1 Corinthians. And it's going over, speaking in tongues, speaking with tongues, why you can't, in what instance you should be speaking with tongues and in tongues, so on and so forth. But they were all confused. They were all out of order. And we can see here that Paul comes through to correct them. This is what this whole chapter is about. The whole letter is about, is correcting what is wrong. So let me see. Hold on. So here, oh, this one stood out to me. Verse 8, "For if the trumpet give an uncertain sound, who shall prepare himself to battle?" He's talking about speaking. Now, brethren, I'm in 6. "Now, brethren, if I come unto you speaking with tongues, what shall I profit you, except I shall speak to you either by revelation or by knowledge, by prophesying or by doctrine? And, and even things without life-giving sound, whether pipe or harp, except they give a distinction in the sounds, how shall it be known what is piped or harp? Or if a trumpet give an uncertain sound, who shall prepare himself to battle?" So Paul's correcting them, and he's explaining them. He's giving details about speaking in tongues or speaking with tongues, so on and so forth. And here he's speaking about praying with unknown tongues, and he's explaining because they were doing it wrong. So the, in all of Paul's letters, I'm not going to say all of Paul's letters, but in some of Paul's letters, most of his letters, he's correcting what is wrong, because in Corinth we see they were doing it wrong. Let me see if it's in this. It's not in this chapter. Okay, yeah. Here we go, 34. Let your women keep silent in the church, for it is not permitted unto them to speak, but they are commanded to be under obedience, as saith the law. We know this is not Paul right here, because it doesn't say that in the law. Well, it does say that they're commanded to be under obedience to the husband, but it doesn't say for them to keep silent in the church in the law. But he's correcting everything here that they're doing wrong. Here in 37, if any man think himself to be a prophet or spiritual, let him acknowledge that the things that I write unto you are the commandment of Yahweh, of Adonai. But if any man be ignorant, let him be ignorant. Let him be ignorant. So the key discernment point for everything that we just went over is order is not silence, control, or no questions. Order is not the people within the body walking out of order against the teacher. If the teacher is righteous and is walking in the straight and narrow, walking righteously, it is rebellion for you to rebel against Yah's word, not necessarily the teacher. You're not rebelling against the teacher, you're rebelling against Yah. So to wrap this all up, family, true order is everyone functioning properly under Yah's authority. And everybody needs to remember that. You're not the leader's there, he has a role just like you have a role. Your role's different than his. But it's not under his authority, it's under Yah's authority. You can be in a place that looks organized and still be completely out of order. If there is fear instead of peace, control instead of service, rebellion instead of humility, that is not from Yah. True order does not come from one person. It comes from everyone being aligned. Leadership must lead correctly. The people must respond correctly, and both must submit to Yah. True order brings peace, not fear, clarity, not confusion, growth, not control. So the question is not, is there structure here, but is everyone functioning the way Yah designed? And with this, family, I'm going to say Shalom.